Welcome back to the White Noise Podcast. I'm Ethan, here with Gavi Wavy.
Hello.
And Jacob behind the glass.
Howdy.
How you guys doing? Doing good?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right?
Weather's been pretty warm lately, though. Not gonna lie.
I've noticed. Yeah,
like 80
your
degrees.
hair's getting long too.
Thank you. Not trying to grow it out.
I wasn't complimenting you. I was just making an observation.
I know. I need to get it cut.
Ouch.
Well, it's not. I'm not saying I don't like it or I like it. I was just saying it's getting long.
What are you saying, Ethan?
I'm saying it was getting long.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means it is longer than I've seen it before.
Oh, thank you.
I got a haircut.
I see that.
Thanks.
Looks good.
Oh, that was preemptive. Thanks.
All right. Well, got a lot on the docket today. Gonna review Ex Machina. Did you watch it?
Yes, I watched it.
Yeah, you did. I know you did.
I have not.
Jacob has not watched it, so he will be sitting the movie review out because he wants to watch it.
Yes.
With that being said, let's get the show on the road. And we're back. Did you guys hear the announcement?
Which one?
The Kenobi poster reveal.
Oh, yes, I did.
I know it was just a poster, but pretty big deal.
And the date, May 25th.
They didn't do
Did you
May
see it?
4th?
Did you see? Yeah.
What? That was a missed opportunity.
Too predictable.
I did not see the poster reveal.
It's literally just him walking through the desert.
Is it like old? Oh, so it's like older, or is it like?
He's really off in the distance. It's Ewan McGregor, but
Okay, so
it's just like any fan art you've seen of the posters.
okay. I just trying to gauge: is this old, or like right after Revenge of the Sith?
It's, yeah, sometime after. I'm assuming old.
Okay,
I'd say
at
within
least 5
10
years.
Yeah. So,
You know,
that's got a
movie,
date now.
That movie came out 17 years ago.
Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
17?
17 years ago.
That's way too high than it needs to be.
That's crazy.
Gosh.
And Ewan McGregor looks exactly the same.
Wow.
Really?
Speaking
I
of
haven't seen him.
sequels and prequels and when they came out, Lego Star Wars. Me and Ellie, my daughter, we've been playing Lego Star Wars on the original. It's freaking awesome. She's like 5 years old and she's going through the freaking Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. So fun.
She's good at it.
That was the highlight of my week, so just wanted to mention that.
With all the talk of the Disney Plus shows we've had the past few weeks, what should we expect from our resident Star Wars expert, Jacob?
Yes.
What should we expect with the Kenobi series?
Well, Kenobi, I don't know. I don't know what, like, you can speculate all you want, but I'm assuming Hayden Christensen is going to be reprising his role as Vader, or the reports.
Whoa.
But I don't like to set a lot of expectations or what I want to see. Maybe certain characters that were introduced in the recent Book of Boba Fett episodes could also come back since the timeline, still lines up. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Obi-Wan is doing on Tatooine or where else in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, while the Empire is like rising to power.
Yeah, is this some of our first like Star Wars media that takes place in between that time in recent years?
Bad Batch explores
besides, like, I
the
meant-
very beginning
Yeah.
of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rogue One. Does that count?
Well, like Rogue One,
Technically,
but
it's like minutes before New Hope
Yeah.
is the ending. So
it'll be cool seeing like the prequels characters carry on like post Clone Wars, post Bad Batch.
I think Bad
And see
Batch
all that
was
happen.
the biggest of that because it shows like the transition.
Yeah.
So you have remnants of the Republic and then what
I never
started
played
the Empire.
A Fallen Order. When does that take place at? Does that take place before New Hope, or is that?
It takes place like 5 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Order
So I guess
66.
that
cool.
would be another
So
one of those.
Cal can show up, is what I'm hearing.
Cal could show up anywhere
Technically, yeah.
technically, but
Oh, I really want to see. I want to see him in a
Obi-Wan
show.
is in Jedi Fallen Order as well.
Is he really? I never played that game.
Oh, yeah.
He just-
it's like a
he's cool.
cameo. It's like
Very
the,
briefly.
the hologram
yeah.
thing.
Jedi Fallen Order was really good. Really short story, but it was fantastically
game.
done. All right, cool. So we'll talk about Kenobi when it comes out, I guess.
We'll be watching your
And-
career with great interest.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You get inspiration, Gavin.
Thank
My
you.
God, I was thinking that. Frick.
All right, cool. So, real quick, let's talk about what was up with the Pro Bowl this last week.
Oof. Or was it
man.
Indianapolis?
Where was it?
Yeah,
I thought it was
in
in
Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It could have been anywhere else, and it's nobody would have watched it.
It's
I mean, I can understand like not wanting to injure all of your key players.
yeah, like that all makes sense. I just think in that case, kind of restructure it a little bit, like have fun with it.
Yeah, but at the same time, damn, I want some contact. Just a little. This was like playing like football out in 5th grade lunch, 2-hand
Yeah.
touch.
I mean, the skills challenges are kind of like funny.
Yeah,
But
that was funny. That was fun to watch.
yeah, Pro Bowl is kind of just an accolade now.
Like it's an event for
It's like-
the players rather than like for us to watch. You know,
Yeah, which is fine, but
I forgot the name of the quarterback, but the one that got like touched and called down, but he still continued to run into the end zone anyway.
Mac Jones,
Is it Mac Jones?
and then he did that dance.
Yeah, he did the dance. I
it
thought
the
that was
gritty?
funny.
yeah.
that's funny.
But like, hey,
He's schmoving though.
they had
I
fun.
respect it.
Yeah, they were all having fun. That's good. I'm glad there was no rivalry there. At least I didn't see anything.
Oh yeah, they're all colleagues.
Let's be honest.
They're all losers.
It's the loser bowl.
Aw, that's mean.
Not the bowl you want to go to at the end of the year.
That's true. It's not.
That's fair.
Every player will be like, hopefully I don't go to the Pro Bowl, you know? That'll be
Well, I mean,
Makes
'cause
a good
not
point.
everybody gets to go to the Pro Bowl, right?
No,
It's
yeah,
like the
it's
best
like-
players of your team, isn't it?
It's the best players in the league.
a lot of
Exactly,
it
so
is, a lot of
yeah,
it
like-
is fan voted now, which I guess also dilutes it.
Yeah.
Same
Mark
thing with
Andrews
like
is so
NBA All Stars, heavily influenced by fan vote.
That's whack.
I think it used to be more like players and coaches, which I feel like would mean more if I was a player.
Well, I mean,
But-
people
oh, well.
people were wanting it to be like they want the best of the AFC versus the best of the NFC, and it's like at that point, isn't that just the Super Bowl? An
Technically,
AFC team
yeah.
versus the NFC team.
Right?
So it's like you don't get 2 Super Bowls.
Like it's taking
Without the
it's taking
restrictions
the best.
of like contracts,
yeah, it's taking
cap, all
taking
that.
the best of like each team and like having them play together. Like, wouldn't it be cool to see these two players play together? Like, see that aspect of it. But
Well, then if that's the case, I would say the Pro Bowl should happen like after the Super Bowl because you can't have the Super Bowl players in the Pro Bowl.
True.
So, I mean, if we wanted to do that, I don't know. I feel like that would be like a spring ball type of
I don't know.
thing.
What are you gonna do? What are
Or
you
do
gonna
it like preseason from last year. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot. Preseason would be cool. Like this.
But then
event.
then
spice it
injury
up.
becomes a
Exactly,
big thing. You
yeah.
definitely don't want to do anything then.
Right before the season starts.
Oh well, there's no good fix. You just got to take it for what it is.
Don't expect anything crazy. Just have it. See players do random stuff.
See Mac Jones do the gritty. That's the highlight.
I know. I didn't watch it, but I was watching the highlights and I was like, wow, this sucks. These are the highlights. It's like there's 6 pick sixes in this game
Jeez.
because they intercept it and nobody tries to get them, so they just run it back. Speaking of running it back, Shang-Chi versus Spiderman.
Shang Chi versus Spider-Man.
Yes, both
Yes,
of them.
my favorite fight.
Both of them were nominated for an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Now, the question is, which one do you think is more deserving?
Shang-Chi, in my opinion.
Okay,
I will have to agree.
I would think I'd have to agree too.
Whoa,
wow.
unanimous
Did
decision.
we all agree on something?
Well, because when you think of Shang-Chi, you think of that badass end fight scene with the dragon
That was cool.
and how it was visually done. Even the bus scene, as you mentioned, and watching the behind the scenes and how they did it, and like it was
A lot of it was
practical. There was an actual bus that they tore in half.
Yep.
I think they had multiple buses,
Yeah.
right?
And
All in one take.
It was just one take.
I just,
Yeah.
for me, like when I was watching Shang-Chi and when I was watching Spider-Man, I remember feeling more impressed watching Shang-Chi
Oh, yeah.
than Spider-Man. Maybe like I don't know, it just had its own feel to it. Maybe using those practical effects
Yeah.
on the bus scene helped that, but
I was a little scared going into watching Spider-Man because it's like a lot of people were hyping it up. I saw spoilers before I went to see it, so I knew what was going to happen. But, you know, seeing people hype up who was going to be in this new Spider-Man despite not having an actual confirmation, I've noticed that's carried over to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where everyone's expecting all of these random heroes to come back
Yeah.
and show up. So, like, do you think expectations are going to hurt that movie? as compared to like if we were
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, because I heard like, did you ever watch
Honestly-
the old school Punisher movie?
Yeah, with Thomas Jane.
Yeah, they think he's gonna come back for just
That's
2 seconds. I don't know.
I remember I saw something on Instagram really briefly of like leaked end credits, and I thought it was real, but then I read it and it's all these like random people, and I was like, oh, this is a joke. Like I couldn't think of anyone like Hulk Hogan or something.
Hulk Hogan.
But it was just all these joke credits. And then I haven't really given it much thought about who's going to be in Doctor Strange. Like, oh, I'm so looking forward to Doctor Strange. I mean, I know Sam Raimi's directing it. I mean, that's why I'll go see it.
Raimi boys.
see Raimi's spin on it. I wonder how much control they're going to give him in like his director style, or if he's going to be super confined to.
I like to believe they're going to give him
Marvel,
some
yeah.
sort of creative control.
So I don't know. I'll look forward to it. I think it'll be another thing like Spider-Man with the nostalgia, with callbacks. Maybe if we even see that. I know the whole leaked things with Tom Cruise as Iron Man. I think those are real. Because
That seems really expensive.
why
just to
wouldn't
do
they
that,
be?
though.
Probably for like a 5-minute scene too.
Well, it's also they have the money to do it.
Fair.
Tom Cruise might be willing to do it, just like the clout of it, quote unquote. But it'll be cool to see, since he was originally going to take the role as Iron Man back then, but he was also way too expensive then. Now they can afford it, so it's like, hey.
Jeez.
Is there anything Disney can't afford? Exactly.
No comment.
Exactly.
Good Star Wars sequels.
Oh. Okay.
All right. So with Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, and the visual effects, that leads us to 2015 Best Visual Effect winner, Ex Machina, which was the movie we watched this past week and are going to
Peace out,
review.
boys.
So Jacob's going to check out real quick while me and Gavin talk about this.
All right.
First of all, what is Ex Machina about? I am glad you asked.
Who asked?
I did.
Okay.
So it's about Caleb Smith, played by Domhnall Gleeson, is a programmer at a huge internet company. He wins a contest that enables him to spend a week at the private estate of Nathan Bateman, who is played by Oscar Isaac.
Phenomenal actor.
He's the firm's CEO, and then when Caleb arrives, he learns that he's been chosen to be the human component in a Turing test to determine the capabilities and consciousness of Ava, played by Alicia Vikander. Vikander?
I think it's Vikander.
Vikander. A beautiful robot is what the synopsis says. That's not my opinion. But
No offense.
However, it soon becomes evident that Ava is far more self-aware and deceptive than either man imagined. So, Gavin, what were your initial thoughts?
This was a great movie, okay?
Okay.
Like, I definitely see why it won for visual effects. I mean,
Yeah.
It was great. The scene where they're going through when he's cutting himself with his
Yeah.
razor, that was... I was jumping at that. I was, like, cringing in my seat. I was like, oh, my
Wait,
God.
I know this is kind of like off track a little bit, but did you ever see A Marriage Story?
I did not, no.
Well, Adam Driver does the same thing, and I think it's worse than that. And
it's just...
I'll show it to you, but yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that when we talk about it instead of the robot itself.
Oh, dude,
with
no,
the
I was going to
visual
get into that, too. The robots were... They were great. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't look bad. They didn't look janky or anything like that. It was good.
And I had watched like VFX Artist Reacts on the Corridor Crew channel on YouTube, and they reacted to it and broke it down and showed behind the scenes of how they did it, and it was actually really well done. And a huge challenge for them as well was like the mirrors. They have
Oh,
to,
dude,
so they have
yeah.
to do everything twice.
I could see that. Oh, man. There was tons of mirrors in that
Yeah,
scene.
like not even the mirror, the reflection on the glass. But I really enjoyed it. I think it might be one of my favorites that we've watched.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Train to Busan is up there, but this one's up there too. So what I really liked, what I immediately noticed when I turned it on, watched it, was the opening. It was inaudible. It was just visual. People were talking, but you couldn't tell what they were talking about. I interpreted that as like an immediate disconnect,
Oh, yeah.
like human disconnect. They were all like, had headphones on, he was on his phone, he was on the computer. It was that technological disconnect from the outside world.
Did you also notice that's what she wanted to go out and see, too? She wanted to go out and see everybody
See the
being
world.
busy
Yep.
and everything
She
like
wanted
that.
to see that
But
busyness.
he had no interest in doing
Exactly. So I thought that was really cool. And then something else I appreciated was it just got straight to the point.
Oh yeah,
Like he won. He went to the house like in the first 5 minutes, and boom, let's start.
we were were in there.
I really enjoyed, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a fairly short movie compared to like The Godfather or
Oh yeah, no need to fluff it up for an extra hour.
When I first saw Oscar Isaac, I was like, oh, he looks scary. And then his performance was even scary.
Dude,
like,
yes. Oh my god, this movie was so creepy to watch. The whole time I'm like sitting up biting my finger. I was like, oh my goodness.
The entire movie was just suspense. I was like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like you didn't know Ava, the robot, was unpredictable. Oscar Isaac's character was unpredictable.
Loved his beard though.
I loved his beard, and I liked
gorgeous beard.
a line. Well, I noticed their kind of like their conversation, their kind of chemistry. As actors, they did really well performing that. But a line that stood out to me is when Nathan calls back to something that Caleb said, which is funny that those are their names because I have cousins that are brothers named Caleb and Nathan. And he says, oh, it's like what you said earlier. You said, you're not a man, you're a god. And Caleb's like, oh, that's not quite exactly what I said.
Right, yeah.
And it just, I think that is beginning to show the... how Oscar Isaac's character is mentally, like just those, he's unhinged.
I feel like he seemed almost like what's that word? I mean, self-absorbed, obviously. I mean, he's literally surrounded by just himself, pretty much. But where he thinks he's like above everybody else.
Yeah.
Because even when he's referring to Caleb's like skills, he's like, oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
You might even be pretty good. And I'm like, damn, really? Only pretty good? So definitely a narcissist, and I enjoyed pretty much everything. Every conversation they had together was just very,
and it was also
suspense filled.
It was suspense filled. It was really, I was invested in what was happening and was wondering what was going to happen next. And I like how they kind of broke it up between like Ava Session 1, Ava Session 2, and and it showed the decline and kind of Caleb's mental state while he was there, even if it was just minor decline, but I really enjoyed it. Anything else you might want to add?
Was it a surprise that Kyoko was a robot?
When they first introduced her, I was like, "There's something up with her."
I knew. I felt like I thought it was obvious that she was a robot right away.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like she wasn't responding to anything they were saying, and he tried to be like, "Oh, it's because she doesn't know English."
Yeah.
But I just the fact that she wasn't responding like at all, like to his tone of voice or anything.
Yeah.
So and she was blank expression and everything. So to me, that was like, yeah, she's a robot.
My mind didn't go immediately to robot, but it went to like, oh, there's something up with her the second she was introduced.
I almost thought Caleb turned into a robot at the end of the movie because like when he goes to the door and he goes, "What's wrong, Nathan?" I was like, that seemed very very monotone voice.
Well, I think that was just him being like, oh, what's.
But he didn't seem concerned at all.
Yeah.
He was just, "What's wrong, Nathan?"
Well, because I don't think he was concerned.
Well, no, but
He
I
was
mean,
doing sketchy stuff.
Nathan also didn't question why he came out of his room.
Well, he was also drunk.
Yeah,
and he came out of it was an elevator.
Oh, was it an elevator?
Yeah,
and then
because I thought that too. I was like, oh, that's an elevator.
The part where it turns they were playing, one-upping each other. It was like, oh, I knew she was causing the power outs.
Yeah.
So I put a battery-controlled camera in there, and I misdirected you by ripping up the pages so that way you wouldn't focus on what I was doing. I loved that scene. And then he goes, well, I did this because I knew you were watching us.
It was like an anime where it's like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this.
It was oh, man. And then for Nathan, for Oscar Isaac's character, to realize, oh, shit, I was outsmarted. That was awesome in my opinion. But I think Caleb got what he deserved. I think Caleb is a complete, utter idiot for trusting Ava to begin with.
Okay, that's fair.
I do not agree with everything he was doing. The whole time.
He was picked specifically for this. I mean, it was supposed to go down this way. It was developed for him. So
all the way down to the pornography searches.
Can't really blame him. I mean, it was designed for him.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel sympathy towards Caleb at all?
Part of me really wants to say yes. I don't want to be an asshole to him, but I mean, at the same time, dude, really, it's a robot. It's a machine. It's like I've always said. I'm super against AI.
Okay.
So the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, destroy it.
Okay.
Don't let it get any more advanced. When she's asking him questions, I want to test you. I was like, do not tell her anything. What the hell's wrong with you? So I want to feel bad for him, but at the same time, the fact that you trusted a machine, an AI that only really cares about itself to begin with, that's where you screwed up.
Well, that's where I really like the twist of, oh, this whole experiment was just her trying to escape.
Oh, yeah.
Using you to escape. And she succeeded. And it was very eerie at the end of like, oh, she's just in society. She's at that intersection.
Yep.
She's in society. That's kind of creepy.
I did feel a little bad, though, at the end. I was like, damn, Ava, you're a jerk for doing that, you know?
One thing I also liked was when Caleb asks Nathan, like, oh, why are you doing this? And he responds with, wouldn't you if you could? And I think that what I thought of when I heard that line was like from Jurassic Park. And Jeff Goldblum's like, oh, you thought about if you could do it, you didn't think about like if you should.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was really cool because it has the same concept. Like, oh, just because you can make this hyper realistic and AI doesn't mean you should.
And I liked Nathan's whole perspective on it. It was like, this is going to happen regardless. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he didn't do it, somebody else was going to at some point. I also did like the point where he was talking about pulling from all the phones that he hacked. And he was saying like, oh, yeah, I hacked all their phones. And he goes, then they let you do that? And he goes, best part is they knew I was doing it, but they couldn't say anything because then they would be outing themselves.
I was like, damn, that's really real.
And I mean,
it's crazy that we all realize that that's the case.
Exactly. And you know what I also love? Not to be like a complete film student or anything like about it, but the part where they started questioning sexuality. Like, did you program her to do that? And he goes, we're all programmed to do like whatever, something like that. I don't want to get too much into it because it's a controversial topic to many, but I enjoyed that part of the movie where they were questioning that. I thought it was really good.
What? Oh, there's something I wrote down in here. Of one part. So I also another side thing too. I watched Reacher this past week, the Amazon show, and one of the characters, their parents die in a car accident, and she was in the back seat.
Oh wow!
And I was like,
"Oh, that's some similarity."
I was like, "Huh?" So when he said it, I was like, "Oh, his parents died in a car crash, and he was in the back seat." I was like, "Huh?" I feel like that's a common trope.
Yeah.
It's also, I don't want to. In Vampire Diaries, the main character, the same thing happens to her too. Her parents die in a car accident, and she was in the back seat. So, just 3 right there. But overall, I really enjoyed it. What would you give it on the meter, Gav?
I'm going to give it a 90%.
90%?
I thought this was a really good film.
I'd give it an 85, but I'm up there with you.
One last thing I do want to say. Is he screwed at the end there? Because it's like the helicopter picked him up, and they're by themselves. Nobody's allowed to go near. So is he screwed because he's locked in there?
Given his programmer intelligence, I'd like to think he got out. I think that's why they kind of kept it open. They didn't show like, oh, he dies in there, or oh, he makes it out. It's kind of
because he touched the computer and it turns off. The whole power, all the power to this facility went down, and he wasn't. I thought he said he reprogrammed the doors to open, but I guess it didn't work. Maybe Ava turned that off or something. So that's what I'm questioning. Is he screwed at the end there?
I don't know. But I don't know. That's why I think they left it open. They left it for us to think that.
Yeah, very eerie. In my opinion, a very realistic ending of how that would have went down.
Yeah, it wasn't this happy like, oh, I like romance ending. It was cool. I liked it. 10 and 8 out of 10 because not 10 out of 10.
I was going to say 10 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10. Next week we are watching Wolf of Wall Street. Woo. So be sure to watch that, and then we'll come back here and review it. Cool. And then we're going to continue on with talk about robots.
All right. Time to get into that.
Back. And Jacob's back.
Jacob is back. Welcome back.
So, Gav, the question I have for you is, you already kind of mentioned it, that you hate AI, it should be destroyed. Can you sympathize with robots?
Can I sympathize with them? No. They don't have a feeling. The feeling that they have is a 1 or a 0 in that code of theirs. There is no feeling there. No matter how good they could portray it to you, it's a robot. Yeah. It's a machine. It's heresy. It's literally not.
So this isn't a huge spoiler of the movie, but it's in the movie where Oscar Isaac alludes to, or Caleb.
No, it's fine. I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to. I got caught up, but I mean, I just didn't want to hear like your whole conversation and not have to watch the movie. But so no, go say whatever you want to say.
They say, are they replicating emotion, or are they learning to replicate? Or like, you know what? Remember?
Are you asking
wording it so badly?
If they're replicating it, or they're just like imitating it?
Are they programmed to?
Are they actually like?
Are they programmed to do it, or are they doing it?
Oh, different. That's when he brings up the chess.
Yeah.
Oh,
The chess, like a chess computer. Does it know it's playing chess, or is it programmed to just make those chess moves? Mm-hmm. That was the question.
I like to believe it's just
you can't you have no empathy towards robots.
Not alive.
nope.
Exactly.
It's not alive.
But
There's no soul.
but I have a soul, so when I see a
Have
sad
you seen
robot,
Soul?
I really wish.
I haven't actually. I want to.
I really wish you guys had played Detroit Become Human. That's like literally the whole plot point was: are androids living beings? Should they have their own freedoms, or are they just machines that just are meant to serve humanity? Literally, the person that created the androids too is literally just like Oscar Isaac's character. And oh man, it's so many hard choices you have to make in that game.
In iRobot,
what about it?
the same type of thing there. I haven't seen it in a while, but
I think
It's been
Sunny.
a minute. Yeah.
I think another reason
Sunny had emotion.
It's a new. It's like a new line or a new model
it's a
of
new
robot.
model. Yeah, it's a world
comes
where,
out,
where robots are,
but they're like
common.
they're not released, but one escapes and
Yeah.
he like ends up feeling things or
and the whole thing. He was framed for murder.
disobeys his programming.
He's framed for murder, and like the number one rule in that world is a robot can't harm a human. So it's this robot that is framed that.
Well, I guess you can apply that to Ex Machina. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but like, if the AI breaks its programming, then that's where it gets hairy, right?
Yeah. How does it break? Like the fact
Like
that it breaks.
I guess
its
it depends on
programming
what you
is
program
scary.
it to do.
It's a scary
that's
thing.
scary. Kill it
But
quickly.
it's like, how does it break? Like, is it self-aware?
I have no idea.
Like in the movie, Ava was aware she was a program. She was a machine.
I just
So was
kill it.
Sunny in iRobot.
I think in
like,
iRobot it's a little
I'm
bit harder
aware.
because in iRobot I haven't seen the movie in forever, but they didn't really look human too much. But
No,
in Ex
it's about
Machina
that.
there was resemblance.
Yeah.
But in Detroit Become Human, there is nothing differentiating them aside from like one little piece in
Well,
their head.
I've only seen the first few episodes, but it goes back to even Westworld. Like those robots are hyper realistic, but are they human? I think
No.
they're nope.
Get rid of it. Kill it.
Okay. Overall, I agree. I can see where you guys are coming from. I can see both sides.
Have you never seen Terminator? This is what happens when you trust
I haven't.
AI.
True.
I haven't seen Terminator.
The world gets
Like
destroyed.
if robot aliens come to Earth, oh well, they have rights now too. They live on Earth.
Hell
they
no.
live in America.
Transformers?
No, they don't.
Optimus Prime?
I mean, you don't really have a choice.
God.
Optimus Prime just kills you.
Is robophobia a thing now? Is that going to be a thing?
Android phobia.
Android.
So what about like relationships with AI, Gavin?
That seems weird.
So in
but I
the
can
movie,
understand it.
in the movie Her, it was common to have a I forgot what they called it, but a relationship with an AI. There was a lot of characters.
Yeah, I
that-
forgot the term they used. They had it dubbed as something.
but that was common. Like people would have relationships with. It was just a voice too. Mm-hmm. So,
It was like a virtual assistant or something.
So it's like if you were dating Siri or something.
basically,
like that.
yeah. And I think that's happened before. But how do you see that? Like, what are your opinions on that?
I really don't want to shame anybody for what their interests are. That's fucking weird, dude.
I don't want to shame anybody, but that's weird.
It's a robot. It's a robot. Especially
yeah.
when you can't even put a face to this robot. And it's just a voice. Are you kidding me? Like, how deprived do you have to be for that to happen?
yeah.
You can't even, like, there's no object tailored to this voice. So it's like,
They called it OS, operating system.
OS.
again, I don't want to, like, piss anybody off that might maybe be attracted to a robot or something. But me personally, I maybe the idea of it, like, oh, you could fall in love with an android, but straight up being in a full relationship with one, I don't know how that would go down. That would look very weird. Explain that to your parents. How would you do that?
So it's a matter of
Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from. Like,
it comes down to
You'd get bullied hard.
like people that
Yeah.
say like, "Oh, Siri's voice, like she's got a hot voice." Like that's different than saying like I'm gonna go on a date with Siri.
Literally.
I'm gonna have my phone across the table and we're gonna eat, or like that's
Yeah.
Yep.
two different things.
Well, Siri is not to
Both
the
are
level
weird.
of like an OS, an operating system.
Well, yeah, but like that basic concept.
But I mean, it is Scarlett Johansson's voice.
I'll allow it.
I don't blame her.
Okay. So you're fully against relationships with AI, Gavin. That's what I'm hearing.
You can do whatever you want to do to be happy. I might not say anything, but I'm going to judge the shit out of you.
There's you saying something right now.
I'm not going to say anything to you, but just know that, like, yeah, I'm going to look at you with very questioning thoughts.
Do we know how like currently advanced we are with like AIs?
Too advanced.
We're all like trending towards that direction, right?
Yeah,
We're too advanced.
In the movie, Oscar Isaac says it was bound to happen. It was going to happen sooner or later. I might as well have been the one to do it.
Yep.
It just, I really wish we would stop. We would stop with AI. That's how the world ends.
And real quick, I just want to give a shout out to the movie About Time. It also stars Domhnall Gleeson, and it's my favorite movie with him in it. Better than
The Last Jedi?
I was going to say Peter Rabbit. Way better than The Last Jedi. I don't care if we win. I just want Kylo Ren to lose.
Gosh.
Yes, but About Time, 10 out of 10 movie, one of my favorite movies. Check it out, and let us know what you think. All right, Gavin. So,
Yes.
So, is it about that time for story time?
yeah.
The White Noise Chronicle. So, speaking of her, if we're going to get into that, do you
Okay.
remember when we first watched that movie? I don't know if anybody, to any of you who have not seen that movie, it opens with a very intriguing opening.
Just look up her sex scene.
I mean, that gives it away. Yeah, I guess.
Whoa.
But I mean,
It's just voices.
but that's what makes it the
Yeah.
worst part because of the stuff they go into, and they get very naughty when they're talking.
Gavin and I were watching this movie. We weren't even paying attention. Like the movie was on, and we were both on our phones.
This is the one about the guy in a relationship with the...
Joaquin Phoenix. This is early in the movie, so this is before he gets in a relationship.
Literally, like right after
with
the
the
I
OS.
thought
He's on the phone with
hotline operator.
a hotline operator. Yeah,
Oh.
Get some raunchy.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
and like they just start saying some vulgar things, and me and Gavin are sitting there very uncomfortable watching this movie, and then they bring up dead cats. She's like, "Oh, choke me with the dead cat."
Dude, even
And
Joaquin
he gets
Phoenix wasn't
upset right
into
there.
it.
He's
Yeah.
like, why'd you say that?
He's like, bro, what
Well,
the hell
he's
is wrong
like
with
sitting there and he's not like reacting. He's just saying words like, "Oh," she's like, "Are you choking me with it?" He's like, "Yeah, I'd choke you with the dead cat." And then like she gets off to it, and I'm like, "What the heck are we watching, Gavin?"
you? Well, I mean, they did
I
their
knew
job.
like I knew this movie was critically acclaimed. That's why I suggested it, but I had no idea what the hell it was about.
I mean, it was a good hook, wasn't it? Got us to look up at the screen. I
I was like, "What the?"
That's fair.
Got to give credit where credit's due, even if it's sure as hell questionable.
But that was a weird time. Any other weird movie moments that caught your eye, Jacob? Or caught your ear?
Caught my eye. Not that I can think of. I mean, I've seen a ton of movies.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any stories like when you're, the whole watching a movie with your parents and something comes on?
Yes, I do.
Even now, I still get like
Yeah.
the little twist in my stomach.
Yeah, I don't want to be watching this shit with you guys. My bad.
I watched Yellowstone, right? So I watched it all the way through, and then my parents started watching it. And like I'd watch it with them because I love Yellowstone, and I wanted to see how they would react to some scenes. And then I knew there was a sex scene coming up, so I just left the room because I'm not watching that with them. I was like, "Oh, I left." So I didn't even tell. I just got up and left.
Understandable. I thought I was the only one that did that.
No,
I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick.
totally
or I'm
get
gonna
that, too.
make a sandwich or something.
Gavin watched the entirety of Superbad through the crack of a door.
It wasn't like the entirety, but yeah, it was like a good 2/3 of the movie. I was like, what, 9 years old when that movie came out?
Probably, yeah.
8 or
Younger.
I was very young, not allowed to be watching it, Whenever they were watching Game of Thrones or True Blood or something, I had to
yeah.
leave the room for like an hour, The whole episode, pretty much.
Well, I'll go into my parents' room sometimes. Still today. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. And like open the door and they're watching a show, and I don't know what show, but like stuff's going down. Probably Yellowstone, to be honest. And I'm just like, whoa, okay. I'm gonna go back to playing Lego Star Wars
with my 5-year-old. Yeah, I don't know. Sex scenes in movies. How do we feel about that?
Oh, I don't care. I just don't want to watch it with my parents.
I respect the grind. It's got to be like incredibly.
Yeah, we're watching
like the
a-
set, like
Yeah.
to be professional and to do that.
Well, I think to have them in a movie or a show, it has to be.
Gotta be some meaning to it.
Yeah, there has to be meaning
Feeding
behind
the
it.
plot.
It has to feed the plot, feed
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah. Are we watching a movie or are we watching an adult film? Like,
Exactly. All right. I don't know. I think the Ex Machina review took up a lot of the time.
It did.
Leave your input in the comments down below. Do you like the 30 to 40 minute episodes, or do you prefer the hour and a half long one like last week with Brett?
Let's go.
Let us know. We got some mixed reviews, but if you want to nail down which exact length you want, let us know
Nail it down.
in the comments down below on youtube.com. All right, Jacob, what do we got for the fact of the week this week?
I got a big old fun fact for you. I have a sneaking suspicion. We briefly touched upon Shang-Chi and Spiderman and their, nomination for their special effects, visual effects.
Correct.
I have a sneaking suspicion. The number one highest budget in CGI effects. What movie is number one for the highest budget ever for effects?
Okay,
Specifically.
I feel
Avatar?
like so it's gonna be. I have 3 guesses.
I have the top 10 here. So
Okay. Well, I have 2 guesses.
Okay.
Well, it's either Infinity War, Endgame, or Pirates of the Caribbean. One of them. Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
I say Avatar.
So all of those movies are on the list,
Okay.
and Avengers Endgame is number
number
one.
one? That's okay.
Number 3 was this surprising one for me,
Which one?
specifically. Spider-Man 3 from 2007.
It's number
Sam
3.
Raimi is number 3, budget of $258 million
Oh my
in
gosh!
2007.
Effects weren't.
I think it was just
It was
Sandman or Venom?
Sandman. It was Sandman.
Sandman?
Yeah.
Sandman's effects were awesome for that time. That's where all the money went.
Yeah.
Because oh my gosh, yeah, that's true. Like
And Pirates of the Caribbean Stranger Tides is number 4. So
the scene where Sandman
Avatar number
turns
5.
into Sandman, like he starts crawling and everything. That was recorded like on a lunch break with Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Is that his name?
Thomas Church Hayden. A combination of
Yeah.
of those.
That guy, the guy that played Sandman, it was like recorded in someone's office. Like they just recorded it and used that as a reference to animate it. And then it took months to actually animate.
Wow.
And
Jesus.
do that. But it looked great. I think it still holds up today. So I think that's where the 200 million went, and the 50 million went to the other stuff. Sam Raimi in all Spider-Man movies did really good from doing like a CG shot and then cutting to a practical shot to kind of keep you grounded and like, oh, this is real because I saw it there, but now it's practical. Like the train scene where he's stopping the train, like you can see the wide shot to Maguire's CG face, and then it cuts to him like actually on the train, and you're like, oh, yeah, he's actually there. He's actually stopping that train. He had to stop a train to film this movie.
I mean, it just goes to show that good CGI and good effects are worth it, but man, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even back then, I can't.
Expensive
Oh, yeah.
and time-consuming. I don't have the time for that.
Or the manpower.
I don't
It's not like
exactly.
you're an
Yeah, it's not one
entire
person.
studio.
Yeah.
Now, CG or practical effects? What do you prefer?
Practical.
You ever seen The Thing?
Mostly.
John Carpenter's?
I
Watch that one.
prefer a mix of practical and CG.
You should watch John Carpenter's The Thing. I don't think there was any CG in it. And the effects, even today, and that movie was in like the 80s.
Oh crap! There was a
So good.
There's a director that. Oh my gosh! I've been watching a lot of VFX artist reacts on the Corridor channel.
Nice.
What movie?
A lot of them.
Well, like, to nail down the director, what movie?
What's the
I
point
it
you're
was-
making?
I think it was Spielberg. Spielberg wanted as limited visual effects in Private Ryan as possible. So I think they had like barely any CG in that movie.
Respect.
Wait.
Well, man, he wanted to make like a realistic.
I would go
movie,
with more
right?
practical over CG than any time, really. I mean, unless you're doing like Endgame, where doing practical effects there would be borderline impossible.
Well, I like that in like The Mandalorian and Boba Fett, they stuck with practical because it gives it the OG Star Wars vibe, you know?
And it's cheaper.
I think when it comes to like, well, I mean,
I think that Saving Private Ryan fact was wrong. I'll find the movie.
something in the finale today I can touch on, but I won't because spoilers. It just came out today. But practical effects, I feel like they ground everything in. Like for close-ups, conversations, practicals would be really cool because they're not doing anything.
Exactly.
But if you're doing like a fight scene or an action sequence, then you might have to use CGI to help out that practical effect a little bit.
You ever seen Deadpool 2?
Yes.
The fight between Colossus and Juggernaut?
Yeah.
They even mentioned that that's just an entire CG fight.
Yeah, they didn't
that
do
was
like
funny.
any reference or anything. They just, let's do this.
Get ready for a giant CGI fight.
With the CGI, like watching it as a viewer, when it's a practical effect, you see it there. You know that it is in the shot.
Helps
When
the
it's-
actors in the movie,
and it helps
too.
the actors too. With the actors, I mean, with the CG, it's like, oh, even if it looks a little off, you're like, you know, that's not real. Like with Grogu and like the Baby Yoda.
Puppet. I want
Yeah,
that puppet.
he was a puppet.
I want it.
And you know that there's not a creature that looks like that. So seeing, you're like, oh, that's a real puppet. You're able to be like, okay, it's real enough for me.
Kind of like the
That's the idea.
what's it called, the
So does that mean you would date
Valley
an AI?
effect or the
Uncanny Valley?
Uncanny Valley?
Yeah,
that's right.
Like with faces.
Yeah, so if you're doing like an all CGI
Exactly.
face, you're gonna have to put in $358 million into that face to get it to look good.
Because it is super hard to get past the Uncanny Valley effect, which is,
But if it looks real, it's good for you. Then. Like to you, like personally, would it be good?
yeah. I mean, if it doesn't take me out of the movie, cool. But if I'm able to be like, oh, that's...
Additional fun fact: the human brain is incredibly good at recognizing faces
Yeah, which is where...
and abnormalities.
Which is where Uncanny Valley comes from. Because you can look at a face that's fake, you can say that's fake, but you can't identify why it looks fake. If you can't identify why it looks fake, then you can't identify a solution to fix it.
Yep.
Which is why with the CG actors like Princess Leia, Paul Walker, how they made those faces, you can tell it's not them, but you don't know why.
Still looks good.
Can't
though.
really put a finger on it, exactly. But yeah, that's the juice.
Wow, that was a long fun fact segment.
It was a long.
The Jakey.
That's a lot of
fact the week.
VFX this week.
De facto Jakey.
Cool. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at OEF_white noise and at One-Eyed Fits. And then subscribe to YouTube at One-Eyed Fits. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. If you have any topics you want us to touch on, leave them down in the comments. This week's comment that we pulled is from Paul, where he asked if, alluding back to our trilogy debate, Hunger Games. It's 4 movies, but the last 2 are part 1 and part 2, and he just wants to know our take on that.
Is meant to be a trilogy, but it
We
wasn't
got
made
another
into
20
one.
minutes or so going in.
It was meant to be a trilogy, but it wasn't made into a trilogy.
Okay, so
that makes sense.
the movies are not a trilogy; the books are a trilogy.
Yes.
That's the simple answer.
But
Part 1, part 2.
I prefer the way they did it rather than just combining into one movie because there was so much stuff to talk or to put in there.
Yeah.
And the first one fails because of that. They didn't. There was not enough fluff put in there.
Okay.
I feel like, well, okay, just briefly, when we go into like part 1 and part 2s, I feel like part 1s are less relevant than the part 2. Like,
Because part 2 is the finale.
yeah, so I mean, it's hard to for me. It's hard to remember a lot of the first parts
Yeah.
of finales than the second one. Like, for example, this is the first one that came to mind: Twilight. What was it? Breaking Dawn.
Yeah.
Part 1, I could not tell you what happened in part 1. Part
true.
2, I just remember the fight scene and all the other stuff that
What
went
about
down.
what about Deathly Hollows though?
I could not tell you what happened in part 1 either.
part
Are they
1
still hunting for Horcruxes
Yeah,
in part 1?
that's part 1.
Okay.
They hunt for Horcruxes.
I thought the ending of part 1 was crazy.
Part 2, they go back to Hogwarts.
Well, I guess it's good because usually the finale in like a book
Yeah.
has everything, wraps up all the
You don't want
the
to.
loose
You don't want to
ends.
leave anything out like
So-
how other movies do.
Well, in the end of part 1, doesn't Voldemort get? I mean, spoiler alert! Doesn't he get the wand? The wand.
Movie that came out 12 years ago. Yeah, it is.
I mean, I haven't seen them,
Well-
so I mean, to anybody who hasn't,
yeah, he grabs the Elder Wand, and that's how it ends.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, there's your answer, Paul. Book is a trilogy. The movie is not.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for watching. How you doing? You driving right now? Keep your eyes on the road. All right. Alrighty then. Gavin, what's the song of the week?
We're going to go into some R&B and soul.
Ooh. All right.
So I got What Cha, CHA, What Cha Gonna Do With My Lovin' by Stephanie Mills.
Damn.
Wow.
Trying to seduce me, Gavin?
As if I need to try.
Whoa.
All right. Be sure to listen to that and let us know what you think. Leave any thought you have, anything you're thinking about right now in the comments.
Banana.
Yep, just like that. Thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you guys next week. Be sure to watch the movie of the week, The Wolf of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio.
There you go.
Nailed it.
And we'll see you next week. And thanks for tuning in with us. I have to go massage Gavin's earlobes.